it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our next speaker, who will also be keynoting at WEC Vegas in June. Rich Bracken is a global keynote speaker, marketing executive, and media personality. He routinely works with Global Association Fortune 200 companies and individuals across the country, looking to establish sustainable change and improvement in their approach to achieving their goals. And he, as I mentioned, he is going to be a speaker at WEC, but it will be a different presentation. So that means you're just going to have to come to Vegas in June. So Rich, thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Lori, and thank you, Benji, for making me convinced that I'm glad that I got rid of the singing part of my presentation. So many kudos to you for your talent and your ability, and thank you all. Happy Global Meetings Industry Day. I'm so blessed to be here, and I'm very excited to give you this presentation to empower you, to give you daily bliss. Now, the question is, how many of you, and if you could drop your answer in the chat, how many of you have been stressed out in the last 16 months? Just any time in the last 16 months? Probably yes, probably lots of yeses. Even before that, if you weren't stressed in the last 16 months, how about before that? Well, stress is a part of our daily routine, especially in our industry. Now, I will say that I have a unique perspective on this because I myself, in a former life, was an event planner. So I have empathy beyond comprehension for what you all have been going through over the last 16 months. And I want to talk to you today about making your life better. I was always told by my grandfather to leave people better than you found them. And that's my point for today. Now, as Lori said, I'm going to be in Vegas for WEC. I may have to get some singing lessons from Benji, and I'm going to try to hope to make your life better then as well. But when we think about stress in this industry, if you're not stressed out already, then statistically, you probably should be, because as Forbes magazine ranked the top 5 most stressful careers, you'll notice one that's very, very close to home at the very last of at the bottom of the list. Now, if you look at the top 4, within those careers, if there's a mistake made, there's grave danger, there's harm, there's possibly even death. Now, you could probably also say, I'm sure some of you are saying to yourself, you know what, Rich, if something goes wrong in my career, somebody may get hurt too. But this it shouldn't be shocking to this group, but when you think about the overall world, like, they don't understand how stressful this career is. They don't understand all the things that go on. This was before the pandemic. This statistic was taken before the pandemic. So I don't know where it went from there, but it couldn't have gone down. It had to have gone up because of all the things that have been going on in the industry, all of the different twists and turns and pivots and obstacles that have been going on. So I want to talk to you today about how you can take your power back, because we've all lost control over the last 16 months at some point and at some level. But today is the day that you take it all back. So what I want you to do right now, I want you to take a deep breath. And as you exhale, I want you to feel your shoulders drop, because today is the day that you gain control over your daily bliss, that you gain control over your daily happiness. And I'm going to give you some tools, some tips, some insights, and some tricks, all of them easy and most of them fun, on how to do that. Now, the stress of this industry comes from this concept that it's expected of you to create a disco ball experience. You're called on by clients, your teams, your vendors, everybody. It's up to you to create that disco ball experience, to create that dynamic, entertaining experience. You have a lot of resources invested, time, money, individuals that are engaging with you to make this happen. So it's up to you to take all of those things and make them this dynamic event, this dynamic experience. And that was before the pandemic. Now, since the pandemic, you're also expected to have a crystal ball. And little nod at the fact that the crystal ball is looking out over to Vegas. So congratulations to MPI for figuring out their crystal ball with events for this June. But from an industry perspective, you are now expected to create the disco ball experience with the crystal ball mentality. You're expected to see into the future. Matter of fact, the stress has been so great. I started looking in the dictionary for words that grasped the amount of stress, the amount of frustration that has gone on in the industry. I couldn't find any, so I made some up. I created some words that are very relevant to this industry and the expectations that have been put upon you. The first one, Planvoyant. That's an event planner who can predict the future clearly, understanding when in-person events will come back 100%. That's your job, right? You're supposed to know these things. You're a planvoyant. You know when this is going to happen. Maybe you're a law consultant. That's an event planner with a knowledgeable legal status to analyze all risks of event details before a client's actual attorney does. So we can do this event without getting in trouble, right? We could do this without getting in trouble, right? It's up to you, with all the letters that you now have behind your name, to add JD to the back of it as well, because you're expected to know the legal implications. Maybe you're an eventist, and that is a rare but expected status of an event planner who doubles as a trained medical professional. You may also have some inside scoop from the CDC that no other industry professionals have. These are all expectations of you in the last 16 months. You're expected to know these things. Everybody's looking to you for the answers. And the other thing you're expected to be, immortal. That's not realistic. You're a human being. All of the expectations that you had prior to the pandemic, and now that you have on top of you, even still, are weighing you down so greatly. And that's why today we strip away that immortal title. You are human. And no matter what goes on in the industry, no matter what goes on in the economy, no matter what goes on with health indications, it is up to you to take care of yourself. That's what we're here today to do. And I love the fact that I get to give you that power to be a good human, that power to take care of yourself, and that power to understand that you are trying your best and you're doing a great job. You really are. You need to be supportive of yourself and gracious of yourself to make sure that you are taking care of yourself throughout all of this. Now, I'm a big fan of quotes, motivational quotes. They're on my Instagram feed all the time. This one, when I was doing research on emotional intelligence, sang so true to me. And it is true that when we bring awareness to an emotion, you bring power to your life. It's really important that we embrace this topic, that we embrace emotional intelligence. It is the most universally applicable and most advantageous thing that you can do for yourself, is to understand your emotional intelligence. Now, the benefit of this is that your emotional intelligence, no matter where it is on the scale, can be improved versus your IQ, which unfortunately for people like me, hits a certain peak and stays there. But your EQ can be exercised like a muscle. You can train it, you can improve it, you can enhance it over time, every single minute of every single day. And so today I'm going to talk to you about what emotional intelligence is and how you can take that control back. Now, I'm a simpleton when explaining things. So to me, emotional intelligence is a dance. Now, I'm not a bad dancer. I've won a trophy before, but dancing is all about choreography. It's all about understanding your movements. And it's individually and also choreography. Now, sometimes events feel like they're a 3-year-old ballet recital. Somebody's going this way, somebody's over here, somebody's crying, something's going wrong. But then there are days that it feels like Beyonce's Formation video, that it's all together, that it all works out. That's what high emotional intelligence feels like, both for you and for your team, how you engage everybody, your clients, your vendors, everybody around you. Now, do you want to have the 3-year-old ballet recital, although it may be the cutest thing in the entire world? Or do you want to have the confidence of formation? I'm going to give you formation today, while also giving you the cuteness of the ballet recital. Now, there are several schools of thought of emotional intelligence. I've heard countless emotional intelligence presentations. Everybody has a different perspective on it. Again, keeping it simple, I find tremendous value in simplifying things. Dr. Travis Bradberry has a book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0, and he breaks it down into 2 different buckets, the self and the social. And there are 2 different quadrants within those. So I'm going to break those down for you right now. So the first, when you're talking about self, is self-awareness. And that's how you're feeling. 72% of people don't understand their emotions when they actually happen. So understanding what your emotions are, understanding how you feel, understanding what is going to go on, both positive and negative, because it's not just about the negative and enhancing the negative when they happen. It's about managing your positives as well. So keeping an even keel on things. It's understanding what you feel and what that is sourced out of. So when you think about self-awareness, it is that feeling internally. But then when you walk into self-management, it's what you do with it. Now, we all know that person that's a hothead. It's the person that has those strong emotions, that flies off the handle. So they're feeling the emotions, but they're doing it wrong. If you don't know a hothead, you may be the hothead. So it's all about managing your emotions effectively and keeping things in check. So again, You could feel emotions. And again, we're all going to feel angry. We're all going to feel anxious. We're all going to feel stressed. It's what you do with it. If you let your anxiety and your stress and your anger get the best of you, that's not putting you in your best performance. So it's really understanding how you can manage your emotions as effectively as possible. Now, unless you're going to crawl under a rock and never deal with anybody ever again, and obviously walk yourself out of the events industry because you have to interact with people, you're going to have to work that choreography. You're going to have to work your inner choreography, your emotions, your self-awareness, and your self-management. But you're also going to have to work on your social awareness. Now, that's what other people are thinking, feeling, how they're reacting, what they're saying, their body language, their tone. You know, have you ever said something to somebody and they just all of a sudden sit back and cross their arms? Body language is huge. Facial expressions are huge. It's all about active listening and engaging the individuals. Again, whether it's your team, whether it's your client, whether it's a vendor, understanding that there's a give and take there. It's a two-way street. And understanding your emotions and how you navigate the emotions of another is relationship management. It's everything rolled into one. It's how you're handling yourself, how you're handling other people, because as we all know in our industry, there are constant influxes of communication, changes, everything. There are tons of people involved in an event. So you've got a lot of variables in play. So the emotional intelligence need in our industry is stronger than most any, because we have constant barrages of communication and intake of emotion. So understanding these and maximizing them as best possible is critical to your performance, is critical to your success. Now, statistically, if you think about your performance on a 100% scale and your abilities and everything that goes into how you perform your work, 42% of it is actually your skill, your knowledge, the things that you do, the things that you know how to do, the platforms that you use, the software that you use, all the different skills is 42%. 58% is your emotional intelligence. It's driven from your communication. It's driven from how you handle people. It's driven from your relationships. So if you stopped and thought, wow, over half of my performance has to do with my emotions and how I'm communicating with people, that's a game changer. Because you can know all the things. How many people do we know that are really smart about their things, but can't hold a conversation, aren't good at relationship management, aren't good at interaction, and aren't good at communication? They're not going to succeed later in life. They're not going to have that long-term success. They may have short-term success because they know a lot of stuff, but their emotional intelligence has a huge implication on how they succeed. And 90% of top performers have a high EQ. So it's really important that you take account that is really important that you have a high emotional intelligence. Now, all these things are great, but how do we use them? How do we implement them? So when you think about different ways to analyze your different emotions, your different elements of emotional intelligence, I'm going to give you each of the 4 buckets that I talked about earlier in an issue, an action, and an outcome. So if you think about self-awareness, this is an individual that is battling the daily roller coaster. That's all of us in the last 16 months, honestly. If you're not raising your hand or nodding your head, we're going to have a talk, because all of us have been on this roller coaster of emotion. Now, again, you're going to have those roller coasters, but at the same time, you can control how long you stay in a bad mood or how badly it affects you. And what you can do by doing that, the action that I want you to start trying is daily journaling. Now, it could be a physical journal, a digital journal, a verbal journal. But what I always recommend to all my clients and when I give this presentation is that during lunch and at the end of the day, check in with yourself. What things happened in the morning when you're doing it at lunchtime? What things happened in the morning that changed your mood, positive and negative? Whether it was an email, a phone call, a client meeting, maybe your spouse, your kid, your dog, whatever. Something changed your mood in a drastic way. What was it? And if it's a consistent thing, change the behavior, because you're identifying it as an emotional vulnerability. And I had an instance where I had an individual that I worked with in a previous role that I had a meeting with him every Thursday. Wednesday, I was a basket case because I didn't want to go to that meeting because he stressed me out because he was completely negative and abusive. And I decided, when I understood that, my emotional vulnerability, I changed my reaction. I changed the dynamic and I took control back. I wasn't afraid of him anymore, but it took me understanding what that was to get that emotional real estate back. So practice those things, identify the triggers, and change the response. When you think about self-management, all of us have been burnt out. We as a society have been working harder since the pandemic than we ever have before. We're working longer hours, even though working from home sounded great because it was pajama pants and I don't know the last time I wore shoes in my house. But it's all about understanding that we are working harder than we ever have. We're burning out at a higher rate than we ever have. Give yourself permission to take care of yourself. Self-care is mandatory in life, especially in our industry. Taking the time to take care of yourself and setting boundaries. My most important thing that I've done is I've set my out of office assistant when I go on a 5-minute walk, or I get up for a 5-minute water break or a snack break. And anytime anybody reaches out to me, I say, hey, look, grab a water and a bite to eat. I'll be back to you in 5 minutes. If you need me, here's my cell phone number. Nobody's ever called me, and nobody has ever criticized me for not being at my desk. And psychologically, it removes the responsibility to think that you have to check your email nonstop. Give yourself that grace. Create those boundaries. You're going to reduce your stress. You're going to take control back of your life. Because again, when you don't do that, you're throwing the control to other people. Now, social awareness, we're all guilty of this. We get into tactical leadership, tactical management. We're looking at the details and the things, and we're trying to control everything. But if you're looking at soliciting feedback and looking at different options of communication and active listening, and you're talking with people and you're really tuning in as opposed to saying, like, this is my show, this is what I'm doing, then all of a sudden you have a common goal, you have a common theme, you have a common end line for your team, your clients, your vendors, everybody. And you become a more effective leader because you've set that understanding that we're all working towards the same goal. But again, it's not your show. You're not driving it. You're not into all the details. It takes more micromanagement stress off of you, and it gets you higher engagements, higher satisfaction, especially with your clients, because things are running smoothly, and especially your vendors too, your team, because all of those little details make a big impact on how you engage with everybody. And then finally, relationship management. When you think about ineffective impact, that could be your team doesn't listen, or there's miscommunication with a vendor, or your clients back and forth is really tough. It's important that we serve as servant leaders, that we give and not take. We all know that taker. You know, you either they're in your life or they're on the precipice of being booted out of your life because they constantly take. Don't be that person. Be a giver, be a supporter, because people will draw to you. They'll support you as well. It's a two-way street. Again, it's not a one-way street. So make sure that you're giving and not taking. You're going to have better relationships. You're going to have stronger trust within your team, within your dynamics with your clients, with your vendors, your family, your friends, everybody. It's that mentality that I'm here to support. My favorite thing in the entire world is to offer support when I first meet somebody. What can I do to support you in your goals? It has driven better relationships, better connections, and my circle is stronger and tighter than it's ever been. I encourage you to do the same thing. It does wonders for your team. It does wonder for your personal life and your relationships. But that communication and that servant mentality, because you want to serve and you want to do good, is critical to that change. Now, there are ways, as I mentioned earlier, that you can increase your emotional intelligence. There are ways that work, and there's ways personally. So I'm going to give you some of those right now. When you talk about work, there are several different things here. The one that I use all the time, that I recommend all the time, is calendar blocking. Think of your days when you're in back-to-back meetings and one after the other, and you're going from one to the other. And God forbid, one meeting runs a minute long, and it's this avalanche snowball that's rolling downhill that you don't get caught up. And you're back-to-backs all day long, and you get to the end of the day, no matter when that is, it could be 5 o'clock, it could be 10 o'clock. And all of a sudden you look back on your day and like, what happened? It's important that you take that time. Think back to high school when we had time in between. It was passing period for us. We had 5 minutes between a class, go from first hour to second hour. Got to go to your locker, get your different books, go to your next class. Didn't seem like a whole lot of time, but it gave you a chance to digest, to relax, to collect yourself. I'm a big fan of creating the passing periods. Set 20-minute meetings and 45-minute meetings. Do away with 30-minute and 60-minute. Give yourself that 10 minutes or that 15 minutes to look at the notes from the meeting, determine action plans, send an email, delegate, whatever you've got to do. But you're putting more attention on the details of the meeting and how you're being very delegated and very intentional with your meetings and with your content moving forward. Again, it won't get you to the end of the day where you're exhausted and forget what happened to that first meeting of the day, or maybe little details that needed to be brought forward. Now, these are all very impactful. Then there are the fun things. And these are things you can do all day, every day. I know that y'all started the day by meditating, and I'm a huge fan of meditation. This list, again, if you don't like sleep, I know most of us don't get much sleep, fall back in love with sleep, please. You need it for your body and your mind. But my favorite one on here is music. As a former national touring DJ, I got to open for people like Avicii and Kelly Rowland. And I'm a music freak. Like, I love music. I have the best iTunes in the entire world, and I've now created the best Spotify in the entire world, and I've got bucketed playlists by mood. So no matter what I need, if I need to focus, I need to relax, I need to have energy or inspiration. You know, I posted a video on Instagram right before this about my walk-up song. Like, what makes you feel empowered? What makes you feel strong and confident? All of us have that song. If you have a song you want to drop in the chat that's your walk-up song, go for it. What is that confident song for you? What's a song that puts you in a great mood? Make sure that you have those playlists front of mind, because you never know when you're going to need them. Like I said earlier, I take 5-minute dance and song breaks. I'm not as good as a singer as Benji is, but you know, in my mind, in my one-person concert, I'm Benji. I sound great. I play the guitar too. But I always have those songs. My song that just puts me in a good mood, doesn't matter what you said to me or what happened in the meeting before, Baby I'm a Star by Prince, every day. That first 2 seconds, I'm there. And you have that too. But whatever it is, if you're not a music fan, whatever it is down here that you need to spend more time in, that's going to help you take that power back. Insert intentional joy in your day. Meditate, exercise, reflect, do all of these things. Do all of them. Pick one at first, but start using more of these. And I'm happy to share all of these with you to make sure that you have this list at front of mind, because once you start on one, you're going to want more of this energy back. It's going to become infectious to you. You're going to find higher performance. Now, event planners are like conductors. And I'm passionate about music, as I said, but Emir Noon, who's you see here, who is the absolute rock star female conductor in classical music. She has been known, she is the top rated conductor of and composer of video game music, but she was also the first female to conduct the Academy Awards in the 92-year history when she did it, which is ridiculous, but glad that she had it. But this is what we feel like at events. We're that calm, collected, I know all the details. If you watch, look her up on YouTube, watch her style. That's how you should feel when you do an event. She's calm, cool, and collected. She knows everything. She knows all the details, but she empowers her orchestra. She encourages her orchestra, and she gets in their eyes and in their mind to empower them. And as she is, she's the rock star that you see on the left. And she absolutely commands an audience. She commands an orchestra. She does a phenomenal job. So be Emir, be that conductor, be that composer. Let your events be a symphony. Take joy in them. But by leveraging your emotional intelligence, you will set yourself up to be like her, to take that control and take that joy and that passion in. So I implore you, any of these details, start leveraging them now and start taking your control back. Start finding your daily bliss and enjoy your life more and more every single day. I am very thankful that you have given me this time to talk, to share with you all these details. And again, I'm excited to see you all in Vegas at WEC. And I have some surprises up my sleeve for that one. So it's going to be a completely different presentation. You're not going to want to miss it. So get to Vegas and spend some time with me. But again, please let me help you. Let me serve you, whatever I can do. Because again, I have a unique empathy and a unique emotional connection to this industry. So thank you so much. Happy Global Meetings Industry Day. And I'm so thankful for each and every one of you.
Wow, Rich, you knocked it out of the park. If you could see the chat box, you have quite the fan club in here for sure. Absolutely. I have some questions for you. I think we'll be able to probably take 2 questions.
Sure.
So I resonate with this one for sure. How do we slow down and buy some time in the heat of the moment so we can apply some emotional intelligence?
Great question. And we all forget to do this. Breathe. And it was in that last slide that I showed, breathe before talking, because I guarantee you, everybody's had that moment where somebody's come to you with a panic or a fire drill or something's gone on, something in the heat of the moment's gone sideways. But instead of saying, like tensing up, so don't take that breath. Let's figure it out. There's a different connotation to it. There's a different impact, and there's a different emotional approach to it. So take a deep breath, a calm breath, not a stressful breath, and don't do this. Do this.
I love it. I love it. Let's see here. Studies are showing stress inhibits our ability to empathize with others on a biological level. How can we address this challenge?
Sure. Stress is a big factor. And think about it. Think about the last time you were stressed out. I can think personally of times when I was to the gills stressed out. And I was not. It was very much a blinder situation. I was so focused on my own stress and so focused on my own problems that I was oblivious. The only people in my peripheral were my family. And everybody else is like, I don't have time for that. I can't do that. I can't engage with anybody else. I can't serve, because you can't pour from an empty cup. So when you're stressed and you let the stress get to you, that is what's going to deter you from being able to look at your peripheral and serve and help and connect with others. So be very mindful of how you let stress get to you. Again, when you raise your emotional intelligence, stress is going to get to you. But I'll go back to one of my old favorite shows, Lost, and they were talking about give it 5 seconds of fear. Let the fear get to you for 5 seconds and let it go. I do that with stress. 5 seconds, sometimes it's 5 minutes, but it's 5 seconds on the whole. But think about that 5 seconds, okay? It is what it is. What can I do to control it? What can I do to change the dynamic, and what can I do to solve the problem? That will reduce your stress levels and give you that wider peripheral as opposed to putting blinders on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Rich. I am so excited to hang out with you at WC Vegas, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much, Lori. Thank you, everybody.